Okay, welcome everyone who has a millionaire mind, and I just love this song. I've actually been playing it at meetings that I'm doing, and if you want the song, let me know. It's actually in Zango University. But if you're listening to this call, it's because you do have a blueprint for success, and you know better than anyone that your goals are attainable. And I often say that our check very often is directly proportionate to our personal and professional skills. So the purpose of the university, obviously, is to compress time, to shortcut your learning curve so you don't have to wait 10 years, like me, to become an overnight success. So this call that we do on the last Wednesday, or I should say the fourth Wednesday of every month, is unlocking your $1 million mindset. Now, some months may have 5 Wednesdays, so we'll deal with that when that month comes. But we're going to be putting on XU events, the assignments for June, July, and August. So you'll have 3 months out with which to really, really focus in on your dreams. And I happen to love this month's session with Brian because he truly, truly goes into some simple things that give you that millionaire mindset. And the first topic, of course, is going to be about leadership. And we have quite a few co-hosts tonight, which I'm so excited because this is how we learn. We learn by doing. So I honor each of you who have stepped up and taken that role as an emerging leader. And the first person we're going to introduce is my dear, dear good friend, isn't she beautiful, Tessa Greenspan. And as beautiful as she is as sweet as she is. And it's interesting that, you know, we all have a story of how we came into network marketing and how we came into Zango. And Tessa's story is very much in alignment with our story. But just to go back to 1981, Tessa actually bought a supermarket in I believe it was in Illinois, called Sappington Farmers Market. And it was similar to a Whole Foods market that we have around the country. It was owned by a father and a son who actually owned a chain of supermarkets, and it was agreed when she invested the money that they would continue to run the store since they were the ones with the experience, and she was what was referred to as a silent partner. In other words, she invested her money, but she was not involved on a day-to-day basis. You're starting to get the scene now? And she looks back and obviously takes responsibility for not being proactive with her partners. But like so many of us, we want to believe the best in others. And within about 5 years, at the end of 1986, the partners called for a meeting. And it was when they just literally handed her the keys and said they were declaring bankruptcy because of a huge amount of bad investments those partners had done. And when she got over the shock and she started looking into the accounting and the book, she discovered that they siphoned money into their own pockets, such as the father setting up his daughter with a health food store through transfers from that Sappington Farmers Market. And it, on paper, it all looked legal. So there was nothing really litigation-wise that she could prove. But she got into the books and saw what they'd done. And she was left with over $400,000 in debt, which that was in the 80s, which would be comparable to about $1 million today. Now think about that, overwhelmed, but was determined to pay off that debt. And it took her 15 years of blood, sweat, and tears, and repaid every single cent. And as a result of that, Tessa has received so many awards, recognition, and was even named Woman Grocer of the Year nationwide, just not in her town. So, Tessa, thank you for sharing that. What looking back on was a horror story, but you got through the challenge. You had the obstacle because you knew there had to be a better way. And eventually it brought you, thank goodness, to the Arzango family. So I'm going to turn it over to you now to share your aha moments with this month's session with Brian Tracy.
Thank you so much, Sandy. And actually, you are such a phenomenal role model. I just really appreciate you. But today is on leadership, and this just really resonated. And not only resonated, but I had 80 employees. And I was a leader in that. But, to be a leader in multi-level marketing is a whole different animal than to be a leader in traditional business. So I've learned a lot. I really had to be really humble, learn so much, made a lot of mistakes. But, leaders, I feel, do not quit. But so it's the critical factor in the success of any organization, is that leaders have to have a critical, specific, vital quality and perform specific different functions also. So here are the 7, and I love this because it reminded me and it encouraged me, and it reminded me that there are some things that is important for me to do. But these are the 7 ones, and I love Brian Tracy, by the way. It's vision, courage, integrity, commitment, responsibility, concentration, and excellence. And it's so true. So vision, the first one, is the key quality of leadership. Leaders see the big picture. They visualize their life long-term and live by their values and have developed their mission for themselves. And really, I want to stress on that visualizing is one of the most important things that we can do. And so as we go on, you'll see, and I would encourage everybody to do that. Brian suggests that everyone think about and develop your own mission statement that includes your vision and your values. Be crystal clear on exactly what must be done to attain your goals. Self-talk, an example, is I am an outstanding professional in my field. I am one of the highest paid in my field and company. I am clear and committed on following the processes that will ensure my success. And it's so true. Clear. I am is another really good word for you to say to yourself all the time when you're doing affirmations. I am. The next one is courage. Courage is the indispensable quality which all others depend. Move out of your comfort zone and just do it. Confront the fear and do it anyway. There's even a book about that, many books, as a matter of fact. A word to say to yourself is how. How can I do it? How leads to doing it now. The smartest people are the ones who have learned from the ones who are doing it now. An example is Sandi and Ray and Richard. They are doing it now. And follow them because they've done it already. And feel the fear and do it anyway. Boldness and the willingness to take action. The next one is integrity. Integrity is the most desired and respected quality of leadership. Never, never compromise your integrity. A person who can admit their weakness is strong. Strong people have far more weaknesses than strengths, and maximize your areas of strength. Do not focus on your weakness. And Brian says this in many of the different public programs that he has, is focus on your strength, not on your weakness. just develop your strengths even more, and you hire somebody or get someone to help you on your weaknesses. And it's important to tell the truth in everything we do. And he told a story about his children, saying that I will not punish you if you will tell the truth. And his children now are really adamant about telling the truth. And the next one is commitment. Commitment means that the leader is completely dedicated to the success of the organization and the team. The leader is the catalyst that activates and energizes inside and outside resources of the organization. A leader must also be passionate about the company and products. A leader must never attempt to do anything unless his or her whole heart is in it. There is a saying, there's a difference between interest and commitment, and there's a really great quote on that too. When you are interested in doing something, you do it only when it's convenient. When you are committed to something, you accept no excuses. The next one is responsible. Responsible is the leader accepts complete responsibility for the results of the organization and or their team. No excuses, no blaming, no criticizing. The leader never passes the buck, never complain, and never explain. The next one is concentration. Concentration is the ability to focus critical energies on the most important results required. And Sandi teaches on that a lot. It's you focus on what's the most important thing. The most important thing is what you focus on. Do that first and then do the rest. Leaders focus on the needs of the situation. And leaders set clear priorities of expenditures of resources, and they focus on the strengths of themselves and others. It's really important to acknowledge also your team, which is so important, that acknowledge when someone has done something really good. The next one is excellence. Leaders are uncompromising and committed to excellent performance of the business task at hand. The leaders elicit extraordinary performances from ordinary people. When people believe in you, then you're going to arise more to that than if someone said that you're not good. But so it's really important, expectations. Expect others to do good. And there's been many things, and actually Sandi could tell you a story on a teacher who had a great expectation of the children who were supposed to be slow learners, but because she expected it, they achieved far more. And they rose to her expectations. Leaders believe in bringing out the best in people, and they desire to be the leader that you are looking for. The most important thing a leader can do is set an example. Good enough is never good enough. Time is going to pass anyway. Make the decision to be the very best in your field. And there you are. Are you there, Sandi?
I had it muted out. Tessa, thank you so much. Oh, just fabulous. And you know, it's interesting. Why do we go to all this work to create this call monthly? You think it's because we don't have anything else to do? No, because you are all emerging leaders, and you've come to realize that the only way that you can be successful is making other people successful. It's not like running a business like Tessa ran or I ran. This is because the employees would never pass us in income. But what's wonderful in Zango, our partners, could, even if they come in today, could far pass us in income. And I love the way Tessa said, and we're going to probably hear it throughout the call, about making statements like, I am strong. I am sponsoring at least 2 to 3 people every single month. It's not I will. It's I am. And we'll talk about a little bit about more of those kinds of statements a little bit later on. But Tessa, again, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this month's curriculum with Brian Tracy. Next is my good friend Phil McGarvey, who is relatively new to our Zango family, but not new to network marketing or direct sales. And Phil and all of us have so much in common, because he also believes nothing happens by accident or coincidences. And he loves the word synchronicity, not serendipity. And it's one of nature's laws that he totally embraces. And he spent his entire adult career in sales. And basically, like so many people, traded time for dollars. And he's so cute when he says maybe it wasn't dollars, it was actually quarters and change. And he's spent most of his adult life pushing away money and not respecting it. But as a result of that, his financial history is a mess. But he's not his history. And he's decided now to make money and embrace it. And it's a whole new world for him and a whole new awakening. And I love the way he has designated himself. His tagline is a prosperity mentor. Think about it. Think about how fortunate we all are to have within Zango literally dozens and dozens of million and multi-million dollar earners who teach what they actually do. They don't just teach and not do. They teach what they do. And let's see. I think I'm going to let you, Phil, tell the rest of the story, how we reconnected, and then you can go into your aha moments with Brian Tracy's curriculum for this month, because I think it is just such a typical way of the law of allowing and the law of attraction. So over to you, Phil.
Oh, thank you, Sandy. For about 2 years ago, initially, you contacted me, as you know, and I just we went back and forth and we discussed, and you kind of mentioned Zango, but the timing wasn't right for me. And then fast forward 2 years or so, and it's a few months ago, I just happened to be going through some Facebook messages that from the past, and it occurred to me, your name just came up. Yeah, what Napoleon Hill would call a hunch. Your name appeared, and I said, well, I'm just going to check in and see how Sandy's doing. And it was like less than a minute later, I mean, I hadn't even sent off a message asking how you were, that I got a Facebook message from you asking how I was. So basically, I could see, okay, there's more here than meets the eye, and there's a reason for all this. So we set up a time for a phone call, and kind of the rest is history. Getting down to the kind of the assignment, I must admit that one of the things that intrigues me about Brian Tracy is the amount of detail that he goes into in all his presentations, almost to the point that every point is a bullet point. Actually, I'd like to dovetail onto what Tessa was saying, and some of it will be a little repetitive, but that's fine because it's important. On the leadership component, he says a leader, everything is leadership, and leadership is something that each individual expresses and demonstrates in their own behaviors. In other words, if we think, act, and behave like a leader, we are one. So the question of how can you tell who a person really is, you can tell by what they do. In other words, we are what we do. Now, Tessa mentioned the 7 qualities of leadership, and I'll just kind of go through them again, but I wanted to spend time on the last one. Vision, courage, integrity, commitment, responsibility, concentration, and excellence. And it's on the excellence that I'd like to just spend a minute here. He makes it real clear that there can be no compromise on standards and on doing a job well. And in the beginning of the excellence, I kind of categorize this as an organization, or as organizational ideas. In other words, this is how one is a leader, say, in an organization or in a company. And superior people do not compromise quality. Average people say, quote, "That's good enough," end quote. And Brian says this is a really fatal way of thinking. He subscribes to Malcolm Ford, who says good enough seldom is. So leadership is the ability, excellence as a part of leadership is the ability to choose an actual area of excellence, focus on core competencies, and elicit extraordinary behaviors from your people. And I just felt this was kind of interesting because what he's describing as kind of leadership within an organization is the same qualities that are required for individual excellence. And so we identify our own areas of excellence, and we embrace the potentially extraordinary. And he says, each of us has an area or areas where we are, as he puts it, off the clock. And if we just embrace these areas, we can have anything and everything we desire in life. So I just found that incredibly exciting, and I wanted to end with a quote because it recalled something to me that Mahatma Gandhi said, and that was, quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world," end quote. So that's it for me.
Oh, Phil, thank you so much. And if I could just reiterate something that you said, because I want people to understand, if you treat Zango like a real business. In fact, I got a Facebook post from somebody today who's in some money game that I shall not mention. John and Gina, if you lost the audio, call back in because hopefully everybody else can hear us. Has something maybe to do with your internet connection. But she said, how fast can I get a return on my investment? And she's in a money game right now, and she probably put in somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 initially. And my comment was, you do not have to mortgage the house, the firstborn, and wait 3 to 5 years for return on investment. You could make money day one. But it takes persistence. It takes belief. And it takes never giving up on finding the right partners. And what I wanted to share with you, and Phil's the prime example, 2 years we communicated on Facebook, for 2 years. But, and if you want to know how to do Facebook the right way, it's not about trying to convince anybody to join you. It's not about trying to sell them anything. It's about building that relationship. So when timing is right, and of course you hope it's right sooner than 2 years, but sometimes it's not, that they think of you. And that's exactly what happens with Phil. It was either his birthday or he liked my post, but think about that. Is it a coincidence? Was it meant to be that he's thinking about me? And literally in less than a minute, I had already sent him a message to check to see how he was doing. So don't give up on people that you think are worthy of shortcuts to better health and shortcuts to better finances. So thank you, Phil, for contributing. Just terrific, a terrific message. Thank you. And now we have Jean Marie. And Jean Marie did some amazing slides. And I see I've got something there, text, that I have to take away. I just did that, okay? And Jean Marie, I'm going to have you do a 30-second background of who you are in your previous life, because for some reason I did not see your short bio. So if you would be so kind, you're up now, and introduce yourself, and then I'll start moving your slides for you. And Jean Marie did an amazing job on these slides, as you will see. Over to you, Jean.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you, dear.
And I thank you for having the call, because I really need Brian's training, because I'm not a detail person. And I'm realizing that you better get with the detail, because you're not going to get it if you don't. I'm also a multitasker, which I heard you telling about that. But 10 years ago, I was depressed in Maryland. My upline called, and I refused for 5 months to try the juice, and I finally said I cannot stand these side effects anymore. And there was a pharmacist on the call. At the time he was doing calls, and I called him and talked to him, and he said, you can go off it slowly, but do it slowly. And I did. I got off the medications within about 4 months, and I've been in and out of the business, and it really wasn't a business until fairly recently. It's been really a hobby from the way I've been doing it. And I've been in air purification, and I was in Melaleuca a very short time years ago. And neither one of them even begin to compare with Zango. And it's just it's time to wake up, and it's, as I say, the time is now. I've been sold on the products, the company, the founders, the leaders, and I knew it's been about me. In fact, my sister said, when are you ever going to quit going to the counselor? And my comment was, when I do this business and I become successful, then I might stop, because I know it's all about me. Because we have everything right in the palm of our hands. So regarding the slides, the first one is the zone. Well, first of all, Brian says we are the best and we are unstoppable. And I believe he must have been talking about Zango when he said that. And the diet book, Enter the Zone, states if we eat out of the zone, we've stepped out of the zone, and we have to step back in the zone. And I think this holds true in my performance. I mean, if we get negative, and we're negative in our thinking and words and our behavior, what we have to do is step back in the zone. And we're leaders when we do what the leaders do. And in all honesty, one of my faults, I guess it's not really a fault because I've been working on it, but has been I like control. And I've been working on giving that up, because I need to really start doing what the leaders say to do. And the next slide, Principle A in politicians and leaders. Principle A is being used in some of the schools by the teachers, and they've said it's a very powerful principle which allows everyone to receive an A. And to keep the A, they have to do the work. And if they don't receive the A, they continue to work on it until it is an A. And those who have A's help those without an A. And I feel like I've been living Principle A with Zango for a while. I haven't gotten far in the level as a distributor yet. However, because I believe in the founders and products, I feel determined, and I will continue until I get the A in whatever level I'm meant to go to. The third slide, weak versus superior leaders. America has many politicians, and the superior leaders and statements of intelligence and goodness are those interested in the next generation. And the weak do fundraising for the next election. The key is to think, act, and behave like a leader, and then we'll be one. Slide 4, the 7 qualities of a leader are vision and courage. And through 3,300 studies that have been proven with the 7 qualities are very critical for us to have company, career, and family to be above the average. The first one, vision, a study was done by Dr. Banfield, who showed from lower to upper classes there were specific values, dislikes, and activities. Whichever one of these that is acted on, individuals become. Like Wayne Dyer says, what we focus on expands. We have to see the big picture and visualize the ideal future till we get our goals and dreams accomplished. And being specific and crystal clear with what we want and visualize, our chances rise. I thought this was interesting, 1,000%. We must have a strategic intent, know what we want for 5 years, know our products, give service, and know what kind of person we want to be and what it'll be like when we get there. And leaders think about the future. They don't waste time watching TV, reading the paper. They choose to be out of that zone, and they be successful. They are successful. B, we need to know our values and what we stand for. C, know our mission for ourselves, our life, and our business. Our strength comes from within, and using that strength, we'll receive abundantly using our God-given gifts. We have to slam the door on the doubts and fears because we all are extraordinary. The second quality is courage. We have to use courage to get out of the comfort zone. And slide 5 is, Brian states we need a plan and a mission, and he agreed with Michael Jackson. The greatest rule is just do it. Superior people say everything counts and don't worry about details, and they take action confronting the fear. And leaders act anyway by saying how. And Isaac Newton, who was in a book of the most influential people, was nominated. He dominated the world and changed the whole concept of the universe, and was asked different times, how is it you have accomplished so much as a single man? And Newton said, if I have accomplished anything in my life, it has not been because I have been so smart. It's because I've stood on the shoulders of the giants. And I have a saying about the leaders, Zango, and our products. The best of the best. The smartest of all people are those who learn from them. And then the keys to courage, A is being a risk taker who move boldly beyond the comfort zone. And boldness is really the quality and willingness to initiate action with no guarantee of result. It was interesting, I just came across my Be Bold pin from 2013 convention. And I placed it on my computer, and I look at it regularly, and I keep thinking, be bold, be bold. It really is it's pretty powerful. The next slide. The basic rule is success people don't necessarily make the right decisions. They make their decisions right. When we launch a missile towards our goals, we start to get feedback at a rapid rate. And the feedback will enable us to change our course. This, I think, could be said when we get into momentum in network marketing, things will change rapidly. Even sophisticated missiles in the world can't adjust course until it's set in its place. And the key is I have to be in flight to adjust my course, get feedback, and learn by just doing it. We need a mission, set our goals, and have a clear purpose, launch, and we need to do it then. This is where the just do it comes in. And if we think every possible projection must be answered, which I can get into sometimes or quite often, every single thing be in place, nothing will ever get done. Emerson said regarding boldness, do the thing and you will have the power. When we do unseen forces will come to our aid. And I'm in a group, it's called the Mastermind Goal Group, and it really is keeping me on course and focus, answering to a group of 3 people. And we see that unseen force working. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And we may not even totally believe that we're going to do what we say we're going to do, but with 3 other people focusing and visualizing and praying and meditating, it's just awesome. It's really interesting what's happening. And I'd like to share an example of an unseen force that helped work for me. Last Sunday, I went to the Rochester Triathletes Bike-a-thon at 7:15 in the morning, and no one was there. And I drove up a road, turned around, and saw a guy with a mower, so I knew he worked at the park. And I called him over to the car and he said the bike-a-thon wasn't until August. And I thought, well, that was interesting because I have him on my calendar for a month on Sundays. And in conversation, he told me he was a fireman, and I told him I wanted to talk to firemen about our drinks. And by the time we got done, he had given me all the firehouses, the chief's name around the corner from me. He suggested I be in local parades, telling me all the people who lived in our township, like CEOs of Strong Memorial Hospital, the mayor, and he just gave me a lot of information. And I gave him some samples. I did forget to get his phone number and his name, though, but I know the firehouse that he's at. And I went down the road, and there were the triathletes. And I went up to the president and reintroduced myself and told him that I had talked to him previously, and he gave me his phone number, and he agreed for me to call. I told him I wanted to get him on a call with Joe, who I've emailed Joe, and he said he talked to him because he's a triathlete. And then somebody asked me for samples, and I left brochures. And then I left because they were really busy getting ready for the ride. And I went home, and I made some special business cards and took them to the parade. And on the way to pick up my great-grandchildren, lo and behold, down the street at another fire hall, there was a group of firemen washing fire trucks, so I stopped and got that chief's name. And later I took the cards to the parade and handed them out when I got home and took time to sit down. I thought, wow, that was synergy. I mean, it was just one thing rolled after the other, and it's like, now for me, I can approach people really easy, and now the real work comes, and that's following up. And it's the courage using, like Star Trek says, go boldly where no one has ever been before. It's about getting out of the comfort zone, and each time it gets easier. And slide 10 is integrity, business people, trust and integrity. Integrity, which Brian says could be number 1, is the most effective of leadership and the most important of all. And it's key to have all the qualities, or we may sabotage ourselves. The president of a Texan company said integrity is the quality that guarantees all the other qualities. And having honesty is the surest way, Brian says, of getting rich. And white-collared people including the women, fairly recent, I guess, are the only groups that could be picked in America to be like, got this mixed up, 84% of all villains in TV are white-collar business people, including women, because they're the only people they can pick on in America without prejudice or discrimination. And O'Brien said, young people want to be successful in business, but don't want to have to do things they have to do to be successful in business, which made me think MB30 could maybe help change that with young people. And the fundamental element to deal with a business is, and I like this, an S with two strokes, money. So trust is absolutely essential. And slide 11. The rule is never, 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 never compromise your integrity or honesty for anything, for no amount of money. And slide 12. Jack Welch is head and CEO of GE, learned from Peter Drucker, and here's a leader learning from another leader. The single most important principle of leadership is the reality principle, which is what is the reality and the truth. You must be perfectly realistic, accepting the truth of what things really are, not the way you wish they would or could be. And he said psychology leads to almost all mental illness. And I have to say, I've had a lot of bouts of depression, and by seeing this visually, I really got out of reading number 1, which is denial. It was worded in such a way that I thought interesting. Denial is refusing to see the world, relationship, and ourselves the way things really are, which leads to self-delusion. Maslow says superior men and women are incredibly objective to themselves, warts and all, and to face the world the way it is. Number 2 is truthfulness. Focus on truthfulness no matter what, especially teaching children. Number 3 is commitment, is to victory and winning. Number 4 is observation. The leader must fall in love with the results, fall in love with success. Brian says if a house, job, relationship, products, company doesn't grab you or have instant connection with your whole heart, let it pass. I fell in love with Zango 10 years ago and have had a passion of the company and founders and grateful for these products and a passion for the products. Brian says we must be able to talk to family and friends with passion, or we won't be able to talk about it passionately to others. I think I'm finally at that state. I spoke to my son about taking the body class, and he said no, he wasn't going to. And I humorously got on my knees and said, oh, please, 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 please. But it didn't work, but that's okay. It's about my passion of the products and finding those who are open. Number 5 is responsible. An exceptional leader accepts complete responsibility in the results of the organization. The words of a leader is, if it's to be, it's up to me. And I am responsible. The A, have no excuses. There's no blaming, criticizing, or bad-mouthing. B, they're made by our thoughts. To change a life on the outside, we have to change within. And author and speak Mike Dooley says, thoughts become things. C, never complain and never explain. Number 6 is concentration. It's the mark of a truly superior person. The key is to concentrate on one thing at a time, and we can conquer the world. And then A, leaders focus on the needs of the situation. B, leaders set priorities on expenditure of resources, and the critical resource is the most precious of all, which is time. C, leaders focus on strength and ability, and then uniquely are equipped by nature to make a difference in the world and other people's lives. Number 7, leaders are committed to excellent performance of the business task without any compromise and no prisoners. Excellence is a person who's responsible of getting something done. And slide 14, Peter Drucker, in studies of 50 years, says the quality of an excellent executive is absolutely ruthless about doing the job well. And Malcolm Forbes says, good enough seldom is. Good enough is said by a mediocre person, which is like poison and can destroy a business and career. And leaders have A, ability to choose the area of excellence in whatever they choose to focus on. B, they focus on and develop essential core competency needed to excel in their field. It is our choice to be in the top 10%, to be the best in our field. The most important thing you can do is to bring out the best in others by being the leader others are looking for. The number one thing we can do as a leader is be an example by walking the talk. And Brian said we need to ask ourselves 4 separate questions every day. What kind of a world, what kind of a country, what kind of a company, what kind of a family would be if everybody in it were just like me? Allowing others being their own person and me living these qualities over time, everybody would be a better person, and it would be a much better world, country, and family. Then I would be best in my business.
Jean Marie, thank you so much for sharing from your heart, your passion. And you are on the road as an emerging leader, because it takes to be uncomfortable to grow. And you did a great job on the call tonight. Thank you for sharing. And next is my good friend Joe. And I was just with Joe last weekend. I think it was last weekend. I don't know the time. No, it was the weekend before in Dallas at the A&P event. She and her husband, David, were there. And Joe was actually, she's an East Coast girl, born in Brooklyn. Maybe that's why we get along so well. But she grew up in Alabama. Huge family, 9 brothers and sisters, and is married to her best friend and has 2 great, talented stepkids. And Joe's unusual. She's got a bachelor's degree in psychology and became very disillusioned treating people who we were supposed to protect. She worked in customer service for a checking company, became a manager within a year, and stayed with them for 7 years until the company got shut down. She's now, I never remember what CDL stands for, but she's a certified truck driver and has been going on the road with her sweetheart as a truck driver now for 9 years. And, of course, Joe's goal is to get off the road. So, Joe, over to you to share your thoughts on the second curriculum, the magic of self-direction. Over to you, Joe.
Okay, can you hear me?
Barely, Joe.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know. I got on, and all of a sudden this weird sound started up. But, yes, certified driver's license. That's what CDL is for. But, yes, Brian, I tell you, every time he challenges me. And I am so excited by what I learned so much from all the other speakers tonight, because everybody picks up on something a little bit differently, or they emphasize something and then they bring back something that I heard, I listened to more than once, I know I listened to more than twice, but yet, and still, the brain doesn't always quite remember things as fresh. So it's great sharing and hearing everyone take on what Brian had to say. On this part, the magic of self-direction, Change is the most important factor impacting your life today. Be a master of change. And I really not only embrace this, but I've always told younger people, to just be ready for that. I tell that to my stepchildren all the time, that things are changing really, really quickly, and to think more global, because not just think like, we live here in the United States, but think more globally, because things are just not like they used to be, right? Even the cell phone, we had the big cell phones, and we had the flip cell phones. Now we got smartphones, and we have practically everything in our hands. So it's just amazing. I mean, all the things that I can do with my smartphone. I'm still learning new things on my phone. So I could have never imagined. Think about it. We could have even thought of this 20 years ago. 10 years ago even is a little bit like, what? Really? So that's amazing. The other thing is, change is a major cause of anxiety and stress. Stress is our reaction to events. I know for myself, and anybody can relate to this. If you're driving, if you have to do a long commute, you have to really adjust your thinking, or otherwise you're going to really allow yourself to get stressed out. But that's just a choice we make, right? We decide whether to enjoy the commute or enjoy the drive and listen to something like Brian Tracy or read a book, or we can just really let ourselves get wasted and angry and frustrated and, feel outraged by everything everyone is doing in traffic. And that's what I thought about as he was saying about, anxiety and stress, because I drive so much. He said, if we also feel stressed when we don't feel that we're in control. And I'm certainly the kind of person, I like control. I don't know about anybody else, but I like having control in my life, and that's why I love this business. The idea of having control of your time and having enough money to do whatever the heck you want to do, that is exciting. So anyone who's like me, who likes control, loves this, right? And yes, it does cause anxiety when we can't control things, because, as human beings, we have to feel like we have some sense of control in our environment. Another thing I like, he said, major source of frustration and unachievement is unachievement. We're still trying to hold on to old habits and ways when the evidence shows that change is necessary and the solution and answers have changed. Oh my goodness, I cannot tell you, for myself, I know I have experienced this, and sometimes it's surprising when I think, oh, I'm up on everything. I know, I got it, okay, and then I realize, wait a minute, no, I'm not too clear as to really how the new thing is being done, or how it, where it's going and where it needs to be at. And things are changing at such a rate that it can be a little bit confusing if you don't stay on top of everything. And it can be something very minor. There are so many things that I didn't know about mangosteen fruit, a few years ago. And so that's something, new. And, right now in health, it's exploding and emerging, and it's exciting. But we're going in a direction of health away from what I think traditionally in this country has been more pharmaceutical, medical, to more holistic direction. And so that's something new for a lot of people, to kind of change their minds in regards to health and to be more empowered about their health, not just go to a doctor and ask the doctor to just give them a pill or what should I do, but learn more about your health, learn more about what you need to do to stay healthy. So yeah, it's in not understanding where solutions and answers are, or not meeting your own expectations of yourself, can be extremely frustrating. Goals enable you to control the direction of change, which is, I find this so much, so useful at this time in my life. And, you know, it's funny, when I was younger, when I went to college, of course, I set goals, and I had a plan, and I worked my plan, and I was on the dean's list, and, you know, I did exactly what I set out to do. And then life happens, and sometimes you kind of get turned off from what you were doing, or you have people who have stinking thinking that could also influence you off of your goals. But if you keep them in front of you, you write them down and you keep them in front of you, that is a great way to not get deterred from what you are set out to do. He says 3 key elements of goal setting: acres of diamond philosophy. Most opportunities are right where you are. And I think this is really important, especially in what we do, that there are people right where we are around us, you know, outside just friends and family, but just, you know, in our occupation or careers or just in our passing, that we may be missing opportunities to serve and help them. And, you know, they may have a health condition that we didn't know that they had, but just getting into a conversation, getting to know them better, we might be able to help them in a way that they didn't even know was available. So that's something to think about. Philosophy of excellence. Develop your innate ability and put your whole heart into it. And this business, it's not hard to love Zango. It's not hard to love the leaders, the products. I can't live without them. So that's something that is easy to do when you feel the results and you live with those results every day. Major definite purpose. Every person in life becomes great when they realize and focus on their purpose. And you know, that is something so exciting when you learn or reunite with your purpose or your mission in life. You know, if you ever got derailed or off course and come back to it, you know, it's great. It's wonderful, and this business has definitely helped me refocus on things I haven't thought about in years. And I'll be honest, I kind of let go and listen to some people with stinking thinking who really didn't want to do anything, you know, but now everything is reawakened for me. So I think that is, you know, it's something we cannot overlook, you know, and Brian is so wonderful in helping us get focused on that. Major definite purpose. You can only have one major definite purpose. You can have sub-goals, but you only have one major definite purpose. And I laughed when Brian said he was going to pinch or squeeze someone's nose if they ask if you can have more than one major definite purpose. I listened to it more than 3 times, and it still makes me laugh. But, you know, I understand, you know, we can't get anything accomplished if we have too many what we think are major goals. One of the examples he gave was somebody wanting to play golf and then do something in business and make both of those major goals at the exact same time. And as Sandi was mentioning, you know, we were at ANMP, and it was, oh my goodness, it was absolutely phenomenal. But one of the things they talked about is multitasking. And oftentimes, you know, when you multitask, something is not being taken care of at the level of excellence that it needs to be taken care of. So it's best to just focus on one thing at a time, and that's something I'm trying to unlearn and be a stepmom or a wife and truck driving, doing all these other things. It is not always easy, but you have to really, if you really want to be excellent, if you love doing things with excellence, then you have to learn how to really focus on one major thing and make that your goal. And then once that's done, then you can go to something else and just touch on those sub-goals. And then he says, start with your values. And then he goes on where he's asking to list 5 of your most important values. And he asks some heavy questions after this. I mean, you know, I think a lot of times we go through life and we think we know what we want. We think we know what our values are. And sometimes what we are distracted by may not quite line up with where our values are. So that means our lives are not quite in line and what we're doing and what we want, and that is what this business does for us. It gives us an avenue to kind of refocus on what's most important in our lives. And oftentimes, these are things like family. These are things like spirituality. These are things that are, love. And, to have the freedom of time to do and put that energy into that is something that, this business offers us, that freedom to be able to do that, spend time with loved ones and spend time, doing things that feed us spiritually. Or if it's just, something we want to do in the world, things that we want to do charitable. But it was absolutely just, a great exercise towards the end. And that's pretty much all I have to say right now, Sandy.
Joe, thank you so much for sharing from your heart. And, it's amazing how much we learn and grow on our journey. And next we've got my good friend, Mark Barman. And Mark, interesting young man, grew up in the Midwest, Iowa, Chicago, really smart, went to MIT and graduate school at Stanford University. Worked in Silicon Valley, developed software for most of his career, obviously caught my dyslexic email as well. And in 2003, he moved to Sacramento and was jumping into the growing housing market. Actually, Mark goes back into network marketing into the 90s with Amway, which is quite an accomplishment to become a direct in Amway, which meant that he really, really is a hard worker. And several years ago, he joined Zango after moving to Sacramento. He's got 2 kids, one living on the East Coast, and he's now in Carmichael with his dog. And he's bounced back from the crash of 2008, and Zango is obviously a big part of his future. So Mark is going to share with us his thoughts on the magic of self-direction with Brian Tracy. Thanks, Mark. Uh-oh, is Mark on the speaker line? He was before. Did we lose him? Oh, my. Okay. Mark? Oh, my goodness. I just saw him chat in the chat box. So hopefully he's got the right speaker code because he saw my error. It says still here, but I don't hear him. So, Mark, if you're on the speaker line, shout out because I don't have the phone muted. Meanwhile, I'll wait for you. I'm going to give some thoughts just in case we've lost you. But goal setting, guys, is probably the most important thing you can do. But goal setting doesn't mean anything without inking it. You must write it down. Okay, Mark's going to call back in again. And, of course, on the matter of self-direction, you must, and this is probably the hardest thing for people to manage their time well, because we all have 24 hours in a day. Nobody has more or less. And the goals in writing are a priority tied to your values. So remember, you must, if you're thinking it without inking it, is not going to happen. Mark, let me know if you were able to dial back in. If you're on this call or you're listening, you are already probably part of the 10% of people, which is rare air. But you must write your goals, and Brian suggests even writing them every single day, and watch what happens. Are you there, Mark?
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I hear you now.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Okay, apparently my Bluetooth died.
You're the technology whiz.
He who lives by technology dies by technology.
Right, okay. Back to you.
All right. Well, Thanks, Sandy, so much. Well, this self-direction stuff is so big. It sets a direction for the future, and how can you get any bigger than that? This caused me to go back and look at all my values, look at all my goals, just look at where I was going, where I've been, where I am in my past, presently. Am I going in the right direction? Have I gotten off on a tangent? I just am so thankful and so grateful to be connected here with Zango, to have a wonderful mentor like Sandi, to be here when Zango University and all of its resources are available. What fantastic timing that is. All the speakers tonight, it just knocked me off my feet. The teaching has just been so fantastic here. Thanks, everybody. Hearing all the wisdom, all the excitement, it's just been terrific. And I was shaking with excitement when I finished going through these exercises as we went through this magic of self-direction part of Brian's presentation. He said, change is the most important factor impacting your life today. Just like Joe said, nothing's like it used to be. And answers are changing at an ever-increasing rate. Well, this is because the faster we process information, the faster technology changes. And the faster technology changes, the faster we can process information. It's this positive feedback loop. And so information and answers and change is just exploding on us, and it's getting faster and changing faster every year. Change is a major cause of anxiety, stress, and problems in our relationship and in our work. As Brian says, response to change never comes too early. You always change later than you should. We can try to anticipate that. But very often it's a reaction to what happens. But we can become a master of change, or we can be a victim of change. But to become a master of change, then you have to become a master of self-direction. Brian says if the change outside you is greater, if the rate of change outside you is greater than your own rate of change, then the end is in sight. You're due to be left in the dust. We talked about leaders versus pretenders earlier. Brian comments, boy, some folks are so far behind they think they're in first. Well, goals are what enable you to control the direction of change. Goals assure that change is self-directed rather than random, that change is positive rather than negative, and that you have a sense of control, right? We all like to have that control, and a feeling of personal power. Your major definite purpose must be tangible, must be clear, specific goals that are measurable, quantifiable, and achievable, but they require having some stretch beyond anything you've done before. Brian shows that to uncover your goals, you need to be asking hard questions, and he says, well, you want easy questions, go somewhere else. These were tough. These were all really tough. The benefit was unbelievable. He starts with, what are your 5 most important values or virtues in life? He gives you a minute to write that down. Successful people are clear about who they are and what they stand for. Who they are and what they stand for. It's key to this whole thing. The core value is honesty. Without honesty, nothing else works. So after figuring out your 5 most important values, Brian asks, what are the 3 most important goals right now? And he gives you 30 seconds. This gives you a snapshot of where you are right now, what's really relevant right now, and what your current major problems are. Then he goes into, what would you do, how would you change your life if you won $1 million in cash today, and you've got 1 minute to write 5 things, and if you don't get 5 things, you don't get $1 million. This helps you think clearly about what your desires and dreams are. An alternative way to look at this is, what would you do if you had all the time and money in the world but no fear of failure? The next step is writing down what you would do, how you would spend your time if you learned today that you only had 6 months to live. Again, you need to put down 5 things in 1 minute. This is your bucket list. Before I die, there are some things that I just have to do. And this helps you recognize what those things are. Then Brian asked, what have you always wanted to do but been afraid to attempt? And then this can show your heart's desire. This can tell you the thing that you've always wanted to do in life, maybe, but have been afraid to go tackle. And if that's the case, then you need to pay attention to that. Then Brian asks, what sort of work or activity gives you the greatest feeling of importance, self-esteem, or respect? And he says, think of how you could do it, not if it's a possible thing to do. His last question is, what one great thing would you dare to dream if you knew that you could not fail? What thing would make the biggest difference, have the biggest impact in your life? So you go through all of these things, and Brian points out there's a remarkable connection between your brain and your hands. You cannot clearly write down something that you want without having the ability to accomplish it. And that was a big revelation for me. It means that almost in every case, if you can write it down, if what the mind can achieve, you can achieve, right? If you can write it down, it's possible for you. And if you're clear again about who you want, about who you are and what you want, Brian says you'll create a force field of attraction, and you will attract into your life opportunities, possibilities, people, and ideas that you cannot now even imagine. Then he has you write goals. You write your goals for the next 12 months. What 10 things would you like to accomplish? And of those 10 goals, which is the one goal that would have the biggest positive impact on your life? Well, that's your major definite purpose. These goals, by writing them down, have moved them from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. By writing down these goals, moving into your subconscious mind, they will now take on a power of their own. They now start to bring challenges, that now start to bring changes into your life, and they activate the law of attraction. Brian says your critical job, is to be crystal clear about what you wrote down. The more often you read them and affirm them, the more rapidly you move toward them, and the more rapidly they move toward you. Brian says he does this exercise, all those questions, every day. Every day. And then he closes with, what you dwell upon grows. As Jean Marie pointed out, Wayne Dwyer said it, what you focus on expands. And that's also known as the greatest secret, and it's also known as the law of attraction. So those were my ahas, Sandy. Thanks very much.
Awesome, Mark. Thank you so much. I just love your energy. But if you wrote down exactly what Brian Tracy asked you to do, and I'll tell you a quick story. We met Brian Tracy probably 15, 16 years ago when we were in our former company. And he had us all take out a legal pad. And he gave us, I think it was 2 minutes, to fill the legal pad with everything we wanted to accomplish. And he told us to take that legal pad and take the paper and just put it in a drawer. Just put it in a drawer. And we pulled out that legal pad. I think we were moving from Phoenix to Arizona. From Arizona to Vegas. And in cleaning Ed's desk, he found the legal pad. And I got to tell you, we were floored. Everything we had accomplished. And what Brian said, which was a real aha for me, if you do at least 10 big, hairy, audacious goals, and you move into action and activity over the next 12 months, you will achieve 8 out of 10. And you will then be in the top 3% of where you want to be, because you do have a millionaire mind. And you are deciding once and for all that you are not going to live a life of mediocrity. Your life is going to be, as it should be, extraordinary. And I want to go over a couple things. It was interesting how Phil talked about excellence and superior quality. And you know that you only have 4 seconds to make a first impression. And Jean Marie said, know our products. And Mark alluded to the new Zango University. And let me tell you what that university can do for you. If you remember, you only have 4 seconds to make a first impression. This is critical. And if you want to know your products, there's 9 buildings. One of them is the product education building. And here is my challenge to you for the next 21 days. Remember, how long does it take to change a habit? I want you to spend at least an hour or 2 a week just in the product education building. You will be blown away by the resources, the science, the research, the videos, so that when you're talking to a potential partners, because remember, distributors are nothing more than customers who fall in love with the products and want to share them with other people and want to earn financial freedom as well. So it doesn't matter whether someone's going to be a customer who converts to a distributorship, but they're definitely going to be a customer who wants to earn free product, because the only thing better than Zango products are free Zango products. So our call to action for the next 21 days, I want to see it in the chat room. What is your call to action? To visit the product education building until you know exactly every video, every resource. So when you're talking to someone who is open to having shortcuts to better health and better finances, you know exactly what to send them. And the reason you want to do this is because you are saying yes to success. You absolutely deserve to live the life you want. So when you think about the Zango new compensation plan, now, do the premiers, 100Ks, 200Ks, 500Ks have a different plan? Because quite honestly, in some other companies, deals are made. Zango doesn't make deals. We all start at the same place. People that come in today could surpass the income of a Ray Huron or a Dwayne Dyer or anyone else in your upline support system. It's what you do and say. So think about it. If you just learn to do and say what the leaders do and say, we can all travel the beaches of the world together. And hopefully everyone is earning points for the Mexican Riviera trip, because you don't have to wait till you're a premier 100K, 200K, 500K. It's for the brand new person earning points, falling in love with the product, sharing it with others who get on the automatic delivery program. First step is to earn free product and then build the business from there. So with that, I want to thank all of my co-hosts for doing an amazing job. I know how hard some of you have worked, even Jean Marie, creating slides, but we do this because we can only be successful when our teams are successful. So with that, let's all have a great week, what's left of it. And of course, let's all say, I've got a millionaire mind, and you are saying yes to success. Thank you, everyone, for participating, and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you all.